Their mate for life found. Let's tuck in and see what this is all about. Welcome back. Before we get into the read, a very warm welcome. Please do tell us how this is resonating with you week in, week out, especially for those of you that are in communication with your twin. It really gives a lot of motivation to others that are going through this journey. Yes, we do read for the collective and any energies that are coming through, as well as over the weekend, we do the joint connection and super chats when they're scheduled. Now, I did title this Their Mate for Life. And the one thing I'm noticing through this reading, and I'll show you the overall read, which I will give you close-ups as we do move further into it. A lot of these really linking to divine feminine. And I'm noticing this card, it's almost like a divine feminine in a wedding dress. The song Layla comes to mind. I do read these cards very intuitively. Obviously, those of you that do read these cards, feel free to get additional messages, but these are my psychic messages that are coming through for me intuitively through the cards. Now, the first thing I do see is, again, Mercury-related energy. This card drops down to a 7, very relationship-orientated. It's almost like this otherworldly energy. This is like a connection that they've never had before, regardless of whether they are in communication with you, in union with you. There is this huge reminiscence at the moment, and it's really that Mercury energy spinning around in their head. And they've had a lot of time, and I do believe more than likely it is because we had Mercury retrograde from the 15th moving direct, shadow direct. This is still lingering in a sense that they are directly thinking about you. And it's almost like this image of this person. It's like a proposal, a pending proposal, the one that got away. There's a lot of nostalgia, and it's quite heavy on some of their hearts, of regret, a deeper knowing, serendipity. It feels so profound. This is a very, very nostalgic energy, which is boding quite well for divine feminine, might I add, because this is where the person is really, really valuing you. There could, to the external world in their eyes, be a threat. This can be causing them issues emotionally, psychologically. It can be where they're looking at 3D and they're thinking to themselves, gee, this person's my ideal match. A, why do I self-sabotage? B, why didn't I see this before? G, how blessed am I? It's just all of these things really going through their head. And the song by Eric Clapton, Layla, which did have a very separate meaning, obviously, with the lyrics, but it's the first term that comes to mind is "You Got Me on My Knees," and I feel like it's a proposal. So this is what this person's thinking about. This person is thinking about what it will be like to be with you, to go that next level with you, how it's going to look. And this can be very unbeknownst to you. Now we're going to get into the heart and the grit of this read, which it does appear to be quite juicy this week. I really can't wait to see what's coming through next week and what comes through in your comments. I'd love to hear your feedback and the goss of what's happening on your side of the path, depending on what wave you are. Now, looking to the past position, I always see this almost like a crystal ball. When we get the ones, it's a brand new chapter, and there was an opportunity for a brand new chapter. So again, I still am getting the one that got away. And it's almost like this person does directly see, whenever we see 11s, the 11s in a signs and synchronicity energy, especially in other elements of the number 11, can be that it's going from 0 to 1, which is a new beginning. But with that new beginning, it's almost like there could potentially be some missing elements. Now, that can be you, divine feminine, being the missing element. It also can be a situational ship that was playing out that was causing a lot of grief. and or the ability to be able to, have the tools to be able to get from point A to point B. But regardless, this is moving to the past position. So it does appear to be that there is an element of an obstacle that is being removed, be it it's their psyche, be it it's a physical situation, or it's that they've noted it and said, right, I have to remove this so that I can actually get to my spiritual connection. Now, the funny thing is, in this spiritual community, uh, the longer I've been on the awakening, there's been grave amount of research, um, and especially when it comes to intimate liaisons. People talk about witchcraft and Wicca. This is a very deep spiritual bond. It's almost like a binding. Um, and again, it is a 7. So this person spiritually does feel quite bound to you. How could that come through? In the coaching, I do go into it. It's a bit taboo for maybe the main page. But again, it can be through intimacy. Regardless, it's very deep. Let's just leave it at that. It's very deep. The card is called Blood Angel. So it'll give you enough of a tip as to what that is. Spiritually, I do feel this person's quite bound to you. This person also has a lot of sacral chakra energy, a lot of chemistry that's really off the rectus skull, and it's in the heart of it. But it's almost like it's all too consuming, be it the intimacy they do have with you, the thoughts they have about you, regardless of the statements that are made. It's very red, it's very orange. The blue's there, suppressed down, but at the heart of it and at the foundation of it, it's there. They can't deny it. I do feel moving forward. Dance of the Divine Feminine. Now, I did say this about 2 weeks ago that, there can be karmic tests. Now, karmic tests don't always have to be dreadful. Sometimes the catalyst to a circumstance is where Divine Feminine has been like the Hermit card in Tarot, and she has been holding that torch to that individual, enabling, potentially unbeknownst to them, being patient, being understanding and empathetic. And then there can be a catalyst to the situation where, the individual puts the foot down and says, look, there's no left or right. There's just a right or a left, and this is the way it's going to be. That doesn't have to be an ultimatum. That could be because of situational shit that crops up. And I do think for some of you, Divine Feminine now is in her element. And, Divine Feminine did go through a deep dive during Venus retrograde. She's only really just starting to come out of it. Many Divine Feminines can be extremely fatigued, but it's that belief in oneself returning, wanting to care for yourself, wanting to stand in your truth and to be the highest light. But this individual also does know that they can't mess with you. The 6th house in astrology can be the house of bad habits. It can be a house of wellness, of diet, nutrition. It can be to do with our habits that we have or our mindset, maybe biting off more than we can chew, the house of our undoing. So I am seeing this card in the context coming through that they know that they can't mess with you. And they do have the utmost and the greatest respect for you. But this is a dance with Divine Feminine. And it's also tapping into their own feelings of how they feel towards you. As we move further into this energy, there is a lot of heart chakra going on. Some of them, regardless of whether their mother is here in the 3D or in the 5D, there is some communication going on. There's also some healing towards feminine energies, point blank zero. They may have had some very ill connections with feminines in their life. I also do feel from a creative point of view, they've had to make peace with some of them, this is a parenting role, okay? This can be with an ex. This could be with the current partner. This can be to do with the child situation or directly their childhood. But I also see, again, really forming a healthier relationship with you. A lot of it hasn't been you being the complete issue. Okay, it has been previous relationships, previous connections and circumstances that have caused this pain body experience. that has made them extremely wary in the mix when dealing with you. Again, they do feel that you've really bloomed. They do feel that you've really transformed, and you're challenging them to look at this situation differently. They do feel you're an absolute blessing to even have grace to their life. Some of them are going to come to your home to see you. Some of them are going to ask to move in. Some of them also feel that you are very spiritual in nature. This can be religious, it could be spiritual, very faith orientated. You could be very into the occult wisdom. But again, I do see this as a very spiritual card, and I do see this again where they are looking at you in high regard. They keep mentioning how blessed they are to have met you. Some of them are having dreams, and these were dreams that they had when they first met you. It's sort of like I'm hearing the Celine Dion song. Pardon me. It's all coming back to me. I might look at the lyrics because it feels very relevant. Lyrics. It's so emotional in the song. I really advise for those of you to really go through and look at the song It's All Coming Back to Me by Celine Dion and read the lyrics and see how it comes through to you. You could have your own personal synchronistic messages, but I'm really seeing this energy here as a remembering of all the trials and tribulations your connections had. And even through that, feeling so baffled at the fact that you have been able to keep coming back for more. And so they totally get, how blessed they are, how blessed they are, how unfair that circumstance was, how hurtful and arduous the journey had been. And they're looking at you physically in the context of this situation as a physical blessing. At a foundation level, they feel they need to release you from this. It's almost like taking you out of being a secret. Speaking deeply to you about these things, understanding the trauma that was caused towards you has been because of their fear-based frequencies, because of their trauma as well. And it had been difficult, in the past. And in order for this to be successful, it's almost like seeing the yin to the yang of themselves and looking in at you and realizing you are them and they are you. They have also felt in this lifetime many times that it has been impossible, and maybe it wasn't going to be possible, that they physically could get from point A to point B with you. And it was one of the biggest dreams. They did have this perfect ideal in their mind of how that was going to be. And now in this lifetime, they're looking at it and they're saying, I don't want to go this lifetime without you. I really do want to have you in this space with me. And whatever is left is what I'm wanting. Even if it's for a day, I'm just so very much wanting that rest of my life there with you. The impossible made possible. I do feel that a conversation is going to go better than one thought. I also feel there is a term that they're bringing through here is like needing to break the ice, having to bite the bullet, needing to break the ice. I'm looking at this outcome card as a communication card. It does drop down to a 3. Mercury is 3. Mercury is in Virgo. Having a deep conversation, spilling the beans, giving the honesty, sharing the dirt, but also going to the heart of the matter. Virgo is heart chakra. And so there is this element of healing that both parties here in the mix this week are going through. And this can be a very, very deep connection. Those of you also can be channeling these energies coming through on the 5D. And it's for you not to get alarmed, not to get disillusioned, but to go into the heart space and be open for it so it can occur in the 3D. Love and light. I'll check in with you next week and give me a heads up how this plays out for you. I think this could be a very transformative week.